Welcome to another Foolish Thoughts episode. This is Joseph Barone, aka A Fool for Learning, and our foolish thought for today is free New Year's Day dinner, a family tradition no more. A few weeks ago, my wife asked me if there were any special traditions in my family that we carried out on New Year's Day, and that reminded me of one that we had done for a number of years. When I was growing up in New York City in the late 60s, we started a tradition of going out on New Year's Day to a Chinese restaurant for dinner. Now, this was easy to do since we lived near Chinatown, but this dinner was free. Yes, free. How did it come to be? Well, then have a listen. One day, I think when I was in third grade, my mother stated to myself, my father, and my sister that if we found any money in the street, even a penny, we were not to keep it. You were to place it in an envelope which would be kept in a certain drawer in my parents' bedroom. At the end of the year, we would take all of that money and go out to dinner on New Year's Day. As the year progressed, she would count the money and write that amount on the outside of the envelope so that we could see how much we had. So, as money was found, it would be announced what you found and you would place it in the envelope. Every once in a while, you would hit it big by finding $1 or maybe $2. Once, one of us, and I don't recall if it was my father or myself, found a $20 bill. That was like hitting the lottery. For a number of years, the found money paid for dinner. For once or twice, I can't remember how many, but I think it was only once or twice, we had to kick in like $1 or so to cover the shortfall. But that was the exception rather than the rule. By the time I got to college in 1980, finding change in the street became harder and harder, as more and more people were using credit cards to make purchases. In fact, I myself got my first credit card when I went to college, as they were being given out very easily at the time. You see, when I was growing up in the late 1960s and early 70s, even though credit cards were starting to become popular, most people used cash to pay for small purchases and even for very large purchases. There was no Apple Pay, PayPal, Venmo, etc. And to be honest, I don't think I knew anyone who had a credit card like American Express or Diners Club. The only person that I could think who might have had one would have been my Uncle Angelo, who was a salesman, as he took out both current and potential clients to lunch or to dinner on a regular basis. Because most people paid for items with cash, it was easy for someone to lose a penny, a nickel, or dime, quarter, or even $1 bill or two. So, did you have a New Year's Eve tradition as a child that is no longer practiced? I would love to hear from you. This is Joseph Barone, aka A Fool for Learning, and now the host of the Ciao DMV podcast, signing out. Remember, learn, perform, succeed.